Hello friends, welcome to week 7 of the 13-week book launch. I am Eva Nattiello, the author of The Memory Box, a psychological thriller, and following you, my newest psychological suspense, which is launching on November the 16th. And I am here today on week 7 to share with you the behind the scenes of self-publishing a book. And thank you if you've been here before and you came back for more. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, I hope you will post them in the comments so I can answer anything that you're thinking about. If you're self-publishing a book or thinking about it, I'd love to help you out. So what are we going to talk about today? Week 7. First of all, hi Colleen, what I planned to do last week, week 6, which I talked about last week, what did I get to, what did I accomplish, how many bumps in the road did I encounter? I'm going to share those with you too. So basically last week I told you I was going to work on keywords, which is so unsexy, but they are very necessary and super duper helpful. And they are the very thing that will allow readers to find you and find your book, which is ultimately the thing that needs to happen when books are launching like crazy. There's probably, I don't know how many books, hundreds of thousands of new books are going to be published this year. How are you going to get yours visible to the right audience, your readers, the people that like to read your genre? One of the ways is to make sure that when people are searching for books like yours, whether they're on retail sites or whether they're on Goodreads or iTunes books or Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, they often will not know they're looking for your book yet, right? They're going to put in some key terms into the search box, and what you want to happen is you want your book to show up on that first page for whatever they're searching for, if it's in fact the subject matter that could be found in your book. So I spent a great deal of time last week. I did get to that. I have a pretty hefty list of keywords. I even thought about going back to The Memory Box, my first book, and changing up your keywords. That's the nice thing about keywords. And if you're an indie author, you can change them at any time. So that's really cool. You can see what's working for you, what's working for your book, or people finding you, and you can change it up and test different keywords. Also, based on my keywords, I am going to come up with a subtitle. Now, the subtitle for a fiction book, for a novel, will not go on the cover. That really is something that nonfiction books will do, but not fiction, not novels. So, but where does that go? That goes, and I think I might have told you this in an earlier week, on your retail pages, all of your retail pages. Everywhere you sell your book, you can put a subtitle. The beautiful thing about that is they should be keyword rich, okay? So when someone's looking for a psychological thriller, if you call The Memory Box, for instance, my subtitle for that book is An Unputdownable Psychological Thriller. So there I stuffed some keywords in that subtitle, which makes it ultimately easier for people to find when they're looking for a search term, if that's their search term, psychological thriller. Hopefully Memory Box will show up on one of those first pages. Last week I was also going to choose the date to start my book tour, which I decided to do a few days before my launch. And it's basically for something I discussed last week with you guys, that I want the book to be available to order when I'm doing the tour with influencers on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever I'm doing them, blogs. And I don't want it to be available too far in advance of the launch date, November the 16th, because the sales will not apply to that launch date, as we discussed last week. They're going to apply on Amazon, on the Amazon platform, on the day those books are purchased. So if they're purchased in pre-order, they will count the day they're bought. They're not going to count on that first day of release. So I've decided to start my book tour a little bit closer to the launch date so that maybe there's going to be a good buzz building days before the release, I'm hoping. So it will help those algorithms on the retail sites, and that when I hit the ground running on the 16th, hopefully I will have people in place to write reviews for that day, and also be able to get a decent amount of sales on that date, that it will help the ranking for the book. Okay, what were the stumbling blocks from last week? So I ordered a proof copy of the paperback of Following You, and I was kind of crushed, if you want to know the truth, by the quality, the print quality and the color quality of the cover. I was just crushed. So we're having some issues right now with the way it's looking in the print version. In the ebook version, it looks dazzling. I can't wait to share that with y'all. But right now, that paperback is not looking the way I want it to. So I've been communicating with the different platforms. So right now that came out of KDP Print. So I'm discussing it with those folks to make sure that, you know, they know what I'm expecting. I also ordered one from Barnes & Noble and from Ingram. So I'm going to compare them all and see if they're coming out the way I envision. Hopefully we can get it there before launch day. So that was last week. What's on tap for this week? Well, I want to start by talking about ISBN numbers. Somebody did ask me a question during the week on another platform about ISBN numbers. And what is an ISBN number? Okay, so every book has this number so that it's trackable, okay? Every book, so for instance, and every format of every book. So if you are launching your book in paperback, hardcover, audio, ebook, you will have ISBN numbers for all 4 formats, okay? And actually for the ebook, it's not necessary to have an ISBN number, so you don't really need to have one there. So the person who got in touch with me over the week and asked if he should get an ISBN number, or if he should get the free one that's offered on certain platforms. So, and it is offered on the KDP Print platform. Now, what I know where this person's coming from. This is their first book, okay? Hi, Meredith. And so when you're launching a book for the first time, or at least I can speak from my own experience, when I was launching the memory box, I honestly did not know if I was going to be able to, hi Mike, if I was going to be able to sell 10 copies, 100 copies, would I be able to sell any copies? Once my family and friends bought the book, was I going to be able to sell any copies? So I was really cautious about how much money I put towards, how much of a budget I put towards marketing and what was spent, right? Because you've got your editing that you need to pay for. You've got to get a book cover designed by a professional. There's a lot to do. And then so on. There's always stuff you can, put a marketing budget towards. There's advertising and book tours and a lot of things. So I was very tempted to get the free ISBN, but this is what happens when you get that. Your publisher of record is then Amazon. It's KDV Print. It is not you, and you are the publisher. You are the author / publisher when you're an indie author. When you're a self-publisher, you're both. You have both hats. So do you want Amazon to be the publisher of record on your book? No, you don't, because of the following. If you have aspirations to sell your book in bookstores and brick and mortar bookstores, they are not going to want to sell a book that they see has a publisher named Amazon, because that's their competitor, right? It's also very difficult to sell it into schools and libraries if you have Amazon. Amazon's not a distributor for them. So you've got to think, you've got to be clever. You've got to pay for your own ISBN number. That's what I mean, that's my best advice on that. And then you are the publisher, you are the author, you're the publisher, and you can use your imprint name. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, how it's a great idea to come up with an imprint name so you can put it on your spine and put it on your copyright page. So those are the things that I really recommend you do, and you can do that when you buy your own ISBN number, and you go to Bowker International to do that, okay? So what am I doing this week? There are some things that I have on my agenda. Number one is I'm creating a media kit, okay? So this media kit is something you may need if you're interested in getting your book into libraries. They may ask for one, or if you're interested in getting reviews for your book, industry reviews, or into bookstores, independent bookstores, they may ask you for a media kit. So what do you put in this thing, and how do you send it out, or do you send it out? So the bare bones of a media kit for a book is, hi Samantha, your book description. And I recommend you actually create 3 versions of your book description. Hi Chris, so good to see you. I recommend you do a really short 1-line elevator pitch description for your book. For anyone who wants just a really short, say it in 1 line description. Then the second one, I would have a little longer and make that a paragraph, okay? 1 paragraph, really kind of tight, pithy, maybe it's 6 lines, okay? And then the longer version would be something that you might use on your retail pages. Maybe that's 3 paragraphs, or you would use it as a back cover copy, okay? The next thing you want in your media kit is a bio, an author bio. And with this, also I would prepare 2 versions. One super short, 1 or 2 sentences. No, I would make it longer than that. I would make the first shortened version maybe a paragraph of 4 or 5 sentences, and a longer version would be maybe double that, or a little bit longer. And this way, people, journalists, whoever's covering your book or you, they don't have to ask for it. They see it on you're going to put it on your website, and I'll tell you in a second what you're going to do there. And they can look for, they know how much space they have for this. You know, do they have 4 lines? Do they have 6 lines? What do they have? And they'll go, and then now they don't even have to think, right? They don't have to go in there and start yanking out lines or editing it or anything. You've done the work for them. I would create 2 bios, short and a longer version. Then photos you're going to have in your media kit. You're going to have a couple of photos of the book, a 3D image, so you get to see it in its paperback or hardcover, and also the ebook, so that's just a 2-dimensional photo. And then you're going to have a photo or 2 of you, author photo, a headshot, a really good professionally done headshot, and maybe another a photo of you either doing a reading or talking in a book club, or but it has to be a good quality photograph. Okay, I would put that in the media kit. And then the last thing for this bare bones media kit is a Q&A with the author. We discussed that one of our last week's Facebook Live sessions, where you are going to come up with 10 or so questions that a journalist might ask you as the author of this book. For instance, how did you come up with the idea of following you? Have you written all your life? Do you have any other books? Why is this story important for you to tell? Or things like that. And then you'd actually provide the answers too. Again, you're helping a journalist by doing a lot of the legwork. So in some cases, there might be journalists who never even get in touch with you and cover you in their publications, because you've laid everything out there. You've got photos there, you've got an interview, they're good to go. You've got a book description and so on. So what you will do eventually is put a link on your website that will take a journalist to all of this information, to your kit. The other thing I'm doing this week does have to do with my website, and it is preparing it for a new book. So Following You is not really on my website right now, since I have not revealed the cover, and also it is not available to purchase yet. So I have talked about it in some of my blog posts, but there's no photo on my site and no links. Hi, Linda, to the book. Because, again, I don't want to have too much available in the world on this book, like the cover, for instance, without the ability to pre-order, without the ability to buy it. It's super important. If you're going to be talking about your book or getting coverage on it, you really want it to be available for people to buy. So I'm holding off on that. But the minute I release the cover, I need to be ready on my website to have Following You on my website. So I'm working on that now. What else am I going to do this week? The other thing I'm going to do this week is come up with a list of podcasts that cover books and authors or authors that I will want to pitch to try and get them to interview me on the podcast about Following You, writing. I'll probably come up with, a list of 5 or 6 different topics so that when I pitch each of these podcasters, I will use an individual pitch idea for each of them, so that if somebody tunes in with podcast A, they're going to want to go and listen to podcast B because I'm talking about something different on the next podcast. So it's always a good idea to have in your back pocket a bunch of different topics, all having to relate to either writing, the topics in your book, the themes in your book. And so it makes you more bookable that way too, if you have a variety of things that you can talk about. So that is what I'm going to be doing this week, gang. And so we'll see how I do. I'll be here next Monday to chat with you guys again, 3 o'clock on Monday for week 8. And like I said before, if you have any questions, if you're in the middle of self-publishing or you're considering it, or you don't know which way to go, should you try traditional, should you try indie, leave me a question. I promise I will answer it in the best of my ability. We can keep the conversation going, and good luck with your writing, you word warriors. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.